Welcome to Recently Logged, where we support imperialism because we saw it in Star Wars one time. Just for a bit of context, the movie we're talking about today deals with imperialism. Who would have thought it?
As many Ghibli movies do.
But I do not necessarily endorse imperialism in any way. But I did it for the joke, Micah.
It's all for the joke.
Gotta say problematic things for the joke.
It's true. If you say problematic things in the intro, then you really get them. You get them hooked.
You get them hooked in. They're like, how could he actually support imperialism? Didn't he watch Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind?
Didn't he actually watch Star Wars?
I know. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, here we are, guys. We're recently logged. I'm Robbie.
I'm Micah.
And we're both, our throats don't sound the greatest.
I'm just tired.
My throat is a little swollen right now. My eyes are a little swollen right now. And I think that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was good.
Choking on my tea.
So, today we're talking about Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind. It was a movie technically made before Studio Ghibli was formed by all of the powerhouses that would end up making Studio Ghibli.
Yes, indeed. They're all here. The gang's all here.
Do we want to just dive right in?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
So, Micah.
Yes.
Since you are usually the man with the info about these movies, would you mind telling us the info about this movie?
Would I mind?
Oh my God.
Sure.
Okay.
So, we're talking about Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, which came out in 1984, is 1 hour and 57 minutes, and is rated PG.
Ooh.
The little IMDb description is: warrior and pacifist Princess Nausicaä desperately struggles to prevent two warring nations from destroying themselves and the dying planet.
Well, yes. Warrior and pacifist. Put that on my resume.
I don't know how much of the voice cast I should go into. They're all professional voice actors, not the main talent. We have Sumi Shimamoto,
yes.
Mahito Sugimura,
yes.
Soko Kyoto.
You're already doing better than I would have been.
Goro Naya.
Yeah, that guy looks like Mads Mikkelsen.
He does look like, it's like Asian Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Asian Mads Mikkelsen. What's going on here?
Directed by Hayao Miyazaki, written by Hayao Miyazaki, based on a manga by Hayao Miyazaki.
It's very Hayao Miyazaki, in case you haven't guessed.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, there's an entire... I mean, it's a short manga, but there's an entire manga that this movie is based off of, written and illustrated by Hayao Miyazaki, that he made before he got into the realm of cinema.
Yes, indeed.
It won a couple of awards, but they're not awards that I think I knew.
They're probably all like a Japanese festival.
Yeah, there was a Fanta Festival.
Ooh, nice.
Best short film winner. I don't know how it won best short film.
Maybe they played like the opening on it or from it.
Faroe Island Film Festival. It won outstanding artistic contribution and best film.
There you go.
At the Kinema Junpo Awards, it won best film.
It's probably Kinema or something.
I know, I just looked like cinema, so I thought I'd pronounce it like that. It's probably not actually pronounced like that.
Okay.
Just
all right.
like off-brand cinema.
Well, there you go. Now you guys know everything you need to know about Nausicaä.
Everything you need to know about Nausicaä.
Pretty crazy. Pretty wild little movie.
Whoa. Is that a bug?
Is that a bug?
Bugs in the studio?
Bug in the studio.
Yeah, we're talking about Nausicaä.
Wow.
All right, do we want to get into our opening thoughts?
Yes, we do, Micah.
You know, I've had an epiphany.
An epiphany?
We made a grave mistake.
In between segments?
We've made a grave mistake.
What's the mistake, Micah?
The intro, we literally could have made a joke about masks.
Oh, shoot. Well,
because
I mean,
masks are very important in this movie, and they're very important right now.
I mean, that's true, but like this, Micah, this is a timeless episode. It's not based on what's happening in the real world. Much like this movie wasn't based on what's happening in the real world.
So like all throughout watching this movie, anytime anything would happen, I'd be like, I bet that has no one-to-one correlation of something that happened in Japan. Because like, if you've seen the movie and you know like Japanese history in the slightest of capacities, yeah,
I think you can kind of piece together that it does have a one-to-one correlation,
which is understandable coming from the people who made the movie.
Yeah, I was about to say that's like the most Miyazaki thing to ever happen,
right?
But
since I've been talking a ton,
okay,
why don't you go over your opening thoughts?
Just won't shut up.
on Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind.
All right, Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, not a Ghibli movie, but
Not a Ghibli movie. Though no
I do
prince
like
of it will slap the Ghibli thing on the front.
All right, well, there you go.
I'm talking again.
Hey, Micah, no. Okay, so what did I think of Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind? I thought that it was a very good movie, believe it or not. I mean, it's a very good movie. It looks amazing. The animation, like, it's hard to believe how small of a budget this was, with how good everything looks, especially the lighting. It does a really good job building its atmosphere. A lot of the sound design is really cool. The way gunshots sound in this movie is awesome. The world is really creative and inventive. A lot of this is just praise I would have for the manga anyway. The bug designs are all cool. It's just a really fun world to be in. And I think it does lend itself better to making you kind of sad that it's disappearing, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the whole, like, oh no, the world is going to die kind of thing is really kind of the stakes of this movie. What else to say about Nausicaä? I'm just praising its like technical stuff. From a story standpoint is really kind of that's my biggest problem I have with Nausicaä is just I get the like correlation it has to real history in Japan, and it's kind of brilliantly written. I just am not that invested in anything that's happening throughout the movie. So I end up getting kind of bored, even though I am very much like, wow, that's a really smart like way to write that. The world is really creative. It looks amazing. It's got some really good like cinematic choices. Like, I'm surprised Miyazaki had this good of a cinematic sensibility from his first like well, this wasn't his first time
he had worked
directing something, but
film before,
like
just
this,
not movie.
Yeah, this is just like amazing. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I just don't engage with it as much as I wish I would.
So, yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I gave it 4 stars. The first time I watched it, I really loved it. I kind of fell in love with the way the world is done and everything.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
And I think atmospherically, this movie like blows everything out of the water.
It really does.
I've seen some complaints complaining about the score, and normally I would also complain about the way the score is, but I think it actually really works in movie. And just like the animation is
the
gorgeous.
the score editing is weird in this movie.
The characters I really love.
Yeah.
Like Nausicaä is one of my favorite like Ghibli characters, even though it's not technically a Ghibli character. And like, I don't know, this movie is really stacked to something that I would like. It's very much a kind of story that's kind of for me. But I will also agree that to a certain extent, and I want to talk about it because I don't fully understand why, but to a certain extent there is something that feels kind of disconnected about its story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that is, but even me, who the story is very much up my alley, I think it's a really, really well written story. I really love the entire atmosphere of the movie. Like, even I get like a little like, the story. It's
it's like watching a movie that I know is really good, but I just like don't engage with. It was like how I watched Casablanca the first time. I'm like, yeah, the screenplay is doing a lot of really brilliant things here, but I just really don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the movie gets me emotional even, but for some reason, like I don't know if it's just the pacing or something. Just at certain points in the movie, about probably like 3/4 of the way through, I'm just like, what are we doing? Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah,
I don't know
that's
why
still
that
the
is.
biggest problem I have with this movie. And it's big enough that I'm like, okay, I don't know if I would call this like one of Ghibli's better movies. I think it's great. Like, well, not great. I think it's pretty good.
This wasn't your time to discuss.
Well, sorry, Mike.
I think as a little closing of my opening, I think
Okay.
this definitely has the most merits as setting up everything that Miyazaki would do later and that Ghibli would become.
It is a good precursor to what would come from Miyazaki's career later on.
So yeah, I'm still a big fan of this movie. Also, I have read some of the manga, and I would say that the manga does a better job with the story. like the problems that I have with the story not feeling connected kind of get eliminated by the medium of it being like a manga.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's that way really with a lot of comic adaptations, like direct adaptations anyway.
Which this is like a direct.
Yeah, no, this is like
adaptation.
shot for shot. This is the manga playing out, and it's like a motion comic. But yeah, no, it's interesting. But I guess we'll get into the meat of the episode now.
Meats.
I wonder if Nausicaä is like vegan or something. People who haven't seen the movie have no idea, Micah. So, Micah,
So Robbie,
what's your take on
what's
tiny yellow fox squirrel things?
my fox squirrel? 30 of 10.
30.
He's adorable.
I love that he has little green eyes. It's so cute.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's like the beginning of like the cute little Ghibli boys.
Cute little Ghibli boys. Is that an official collection of characters?
Yeah. He's the begin. He is the precursor to Gigi. He is the precursor to all of the cats in Whisper of the
Wow.
He is a precursor to the cute little side characters. He hides in Nausicaa's shirt, and it's really cute.
That's true. Dude, when he sat down in the little like hood flap, I was like, oh, this is so cute.
Like, I don't know, there is something really actually genuinely, I think, magical about the way Miyazaki animates frames and shoots animals in his movies.
No, there is.
And just this little guy with those little stiff little legs.
Yeah, the animation, bro.
He's so cute.
Yeah, you can tell that this had a very low animation budget.
Yeah, I don't even think the frame rate's as high as most
It's not.
stuff that they would come out with this. Like, you can genuinely tell that the animation budget was low. But it still looks good.
Yeah, I was about to say, it doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't matter. It still looks amazing.
So Robbie,
What?
what was your
Oh, my
favorite scene or sequence?
Oh man. Am I allowed to say the opening?
Yes, you are.
Okay, then I'll say the opening. It's just really solid. It introduces the world really well. It's got a really nice atmosphere. It introduces us to Nausicaa really well. It's very engaging. The little bug chase at the end of the opening is very fun.
The alms.
The alms.
The alms are so cute.
The alms are great. They're some of the best, like, if someone asked me to, like, name some of the best, like, on-screen, like, alien bug creatures, I would definitely list the alms as one of them. Because they're just, their design is so cool. They, like, the moment they're on screen, you're like, dude, it's the alms.
They're a big presence
Yeah,
in the movie,
yeah.
and yet they can still be cute with little baby alms.
Little baby alm. I was so sad with the little baby alm. I was like, oh.
You're supposed to be, Robbie.
Wow. Well, anyway, yes, that is my favorite scene. Is the opening scene.
The opening sequence, you mean?
The opening sequence.
So I have like three that I couldn't really decide on. One, of course, would be the opening sequence. I do think it's it's one of the best instances of setting everything up in a really effective way. Introducing the animation,
it's good world building,
characters, the environment. Just, yeah, it's good world building. The second would probably be the ending Nausicaä fake out death scene.
Nausicaä fake out death.
I don't know why, but that scene is kind of the scene that when I watched it the first time, I was like, this is an epic movie.
Yo.
And then the second time I was like, yeah, this is a really pretty scene. This is the one that really gets to me. I think it looks great. I think it's a great way to like end the story. I think the goofiest part about it is the stupid prophecy thing. But still, because she makes a quick change off screen somehow just to fill the prophecy.
Yeah, because she's wearing the pink dress when she goes after the ship. Why is she wearing a blue? Like, did it just change colors?
She just switches to blue somehow.
But the symbol on the front of the dress is the same.
Yeah, I know, but Robbie, the prophecy.
The prophecy. Maybe it was just the lighting.
And then the other one would be the scene where she's in her little secret room with the non-toxic plants.
In the club.
In the club.
In the cottagecore plant club.
I don't know why, that's one of my favorite scenes of like Nausicaä dialogue and everything, and
it is good.
The characters being the character.
It's good stuff, Micah.
But there's so much in this that just feels so like early Miyazaki, really. I should say, I would say Ghibli, but like really early Miyazaki is what it feels like.
I was about to say, not all Ghibli feels like this. It's really just Miyazaki's work.
Like Castle in the Sky and this feel so incredibly similar.
Yeah, see, Micah, that's part of the problem here. Is I didn't get my usual Miyazaki, like, just kind of sit around for a while stuff.
See, I don't like a lot of sit around. One of my least favorite Miyazaki movies is Totoro.
Aw.
Which is like against every public opinion ever, but
I would have gladly taken like Nausicaä just vibing with bugs for like 2 hours.
No, I would definitely take like this movie being like longer and with less like, because see, the problem with it being adapted from what it is, again, a book, even if it's a graphic novel type thing, it honestly has a lot more time to deal with this in a way that doesn't feel as...
It doesn't feel, like, wasteful, almost.
Yeah, we're like, adapting it even almost directly over to film. Everything feels very, like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Whereas when you're reading the manga, it doesn't really feel like that.
Yeah, the actual plot beats aren't paced out as well as they could be, because it's literally just taking stuff from a manga, where you kind of read at your own pace rather than having a set pacing for all of the plot points that you're hitting.
So it's like if you took Lawrence of Arabia and cut an hour of it off.
You take Lawrence of Arabia, you cut out all of the stuff of him just like looking sweaty in the desert, and then you cut.
And then that's what you get. Like, yeah, essentially it feels like it doesn't have time to sit with a lot of the kind of moments that would make the story more cinematic and more impactful.
Yeah, exactly. The time I felt closest to Nausicaä is in the opening, where she just kind of like sits around on top of the Yam for a while, and you're like, this is great.
Yeah, no, and it feels like they don't fully have enough time to establish a lot of the ideas of the Sea of Decay.
Yeah.
And like how interesting of a movie I think it would have been if it was just like Nausicaä for the Sea of Decay versus everybody else, and then by the end, so like the two big forces end up fighting. But really the inciting incident of the story is imperialistic peeps rolling up to conquer the valley.
Yeah.
And it's just a really weird way to get you into a story that actually doesn't focus too terribly much due to just time on why like their beliefs are bad, or why their beliefs are also bad but different, and why the valley has like
bad but different.
Like, because you have the two big warring nations.
The different flavors of bad.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, I would honestly call this not the greatest adaptation. I think the story itself is just good because it's a well-written story.
Exactly. That's what I do admire about it, is it's a very, like I said, it's a very thematically smart movie, and a lot of the, like, way they write the characters and everything is very smart from, like, just a writing standpoint, But
yeah, I would say that it's honestly not the greatest of adaptations. It's still a really good movie, in my opinion, but I feel like it could have been a lot better if they would have broken down the story a bit more to a movie than just be the manga.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of manga adaptations probably have that problem.
No, and it's something super common in anime in general. Like, literally, most anime, you could watch the first episode and then go pick up the first edition, and it would literally almost be shot for shot. There are probably some different things out of order, or just not included because they cut it from the show or something, but they're almost always just the manga. And it ends up causing a lot of problems for the anime. Like, take something like Hunter x Hunter, which is an extremely long-winded manga, and it works pretty darn well on page because, you know, it's a manga. You can read all of them. All of them have their own merits. It's paced completely differently when you're reading something from when you're watching something.
Exactly.
Whereas Hunter x Hunter's biggest problem as a show is it has terrible pacing.
Oh my gosh, every time I watch an episode of that show, I'm like, when is the scene gonna be over? The scene has been going on for like 17 minutes.
I think they literally, I forget when I did the math, but they took one arc of the show, and I think they actually had it be like, I think it was a pretty good way distance over 24 hours, if not 48 hours, of just one arc of the show. But it's a very prevalent thing throughout anime, where if it's not adapted well from the manga, and yeah, you can, of course, grab a lot of your visual aesthetic from the manga. I think that's important for adapting a manga.
I was about to say, if you're trying to adapt the manga, then yes, draw all the visual inspiration from it you can. But as for story beats, I think you might want to shuffle them around a little to fit the medium you're trying to do better.
And for some it works better, and for some it works less. I've only read the first issue of Demon Slayer, but I think that's a pretty good anime, like, for pacing wise.
Oh yeah.
And I think it works really well coming from the page too.
I was about to say, Demon Slayer feels like it was written to be a show.
See, and the thing that they did with that is the show takes a lot more time with everything than the manga does. Like, I think it's like six books in by the time you're at, like, the very end of season 1.
Which is crazy, because, like, so much happens.
Like, there's just, they take their time and do a really good job. I'm a big fan of Demon Slayer. We talked about it on the podcast.
I was about to say, go listen to our Mugen Train episode and our Demon Slayer season 1 episode. Both quite good.
But yeah, anyway, that's where I think a lot of the problems of Nausicaä stem, and that's where a lot of problems of a lot of manga adaptations stem, for me, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. I mean, I feel like that's comic book adaptations in general, not even just manga.
It's just comic books usually have a kind of a different feel going into it, because a lot of times comics, like the books themselves, if you're talking like comic books, are so short that it's very easy to be like, okay, we need to change this from just being
that is true
onto the screen adaptation.
It's like 5 minutes long. Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie is like 10 minutes.
Whereas manga is very, very much something you could technically, and has been done several times, take it almost word for word, picture for picture, put it onto a screen, and create an anime.
Yeah. I don't know. You basically boiled down the problem I have with Nausicaä. It just seems to be a bigger problem for me, because like I just don't like get emotionally invested in this movie really at all.
Yeah, see, I just feel like so much of the animation and the score and like the filmmaking of it really draws me in.
Oh no, it is good. I don't know. It doesn't hit me, you know.
Okay, so this is gonna sound really bad.
No,
but
maybe you should have thought about it then.
So I really, like, you get kind of like this certain, like, feeling when you're really, really tired. And this has happened, like, sometimes even when I take, like, Benadryl or something and it gets you really tired. That kind of, like, feeling.
When Mike is doing drugs.
And this is, like, the perfect movie to watch then.
Oh, no, it really is. I was actually going to bring that up. Like, this is, like, the perfect movie to, like, fall asleep to.
Ghibli movies are like that a lot of times. Well, mostly Hayao Miyazaki out of them again.
Yeah.
Some of his later stuff isn't, but, like, Porco Rosso, Totoro... this, like, they're all very much like what I watched Porco Rosso at probably like 2 a.m. that one time on allergy medicine when I did it for my Ghibli Wrecked video, and I was just like, whoa,
bro.
Like, it's just it's a certain kind of atmosphere of a lot of his earlier work that is honestly, from an outside standpoint, I would say kind of boring. But yet it works really well when you're watching the movie.
I would not say his atmosphere is boring. I would say his atmosphere is atmospheric.
Well, no, I said, like, it works really well, but, like, I feel like on paper it's boring.
I guess. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, a lot of Miyazaki's style, what I like about him, doesn't work on paper, which is why I think this film is kind of one of his weaker entries, if not his weakest. Just because it is such a page-to-screen adaptation that you don't get a lot of the magic of Miyazaki's direction and his sense of, like, the beats of a scene kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, this was his first work stepping towards working on, like, more movies and stuff, so I understand he wasn't going to dive into writing, like, completely original. From, like, his first time making movies, trying to get funding to start his little animation studio.
No, I mean, like, I totally get it. Like, this is one of his first movies, and, like, obviously he's going to evolve from this, but I think it is one of his worst movies, and it's still, like, pretty great.
Yeah, I would say it's one of his weakest movies. I don't know if I'd say one of his worst. I really have a hard time, like, saying worst to any, because even Totoro, which honestly is one of my least favorite Miyazaki movies, I also gave 4 stars and is really good.
Totoro's amazing.
I just don't like it that much.
See, that's kind of how I feel about this, but, like, I think Totoro has much fewer flaws than Nausicaä does.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's really hard to describe how I personally feel about, like, watching Nausicaä. Mm-hmm. But I kind of just relax when watching Nausicaä, and I think it's really well written to the fact that, like, there's always kind of things are progressively getting worse, but yet you're seeing more and more of what's better in the world, if that makes sense. Like, as things are getting worse, Nausicaä is personally finding more and more, like, better in the world.
No, that is one of the more brilliant strokes of the movie, is to, like, at first you're like, okay, yeah, why not burn the forest? And then over the course of the movie, it's like, here's why you shouldn't burn the forest.
It really gets you in, and honestly, I would take, like, probably an hour of just Nausicaä hanging out in the forest.
That's what I'm saying.
The Sea of Decay and Nausicaä with that cool mask.
the flappy pig mask thing.
It's cool looking. I don't care. Like, that would just be cool. Like, just her being her. Like, she has some amazing skills, and we hardly get to see any of that.
That's what I was saying. That I was literally saying, like, I'm not that interested. I think I brought up the Star Wars prequels, which is a dangerous thing to compare anything to.
Right.
But, like, those movies, I appreciate a lot of the filmmaking in them, which, granted, is not nearly as good as the stuff that's in Nausicaä. But I just don't really care about, like, the actual political plot that's happening in them. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of boring. Can we move on, please? That's kind of how I feel, obviously to a less extreme extent, about Nausicaä, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a similar feeling where I'm like, okay, yeah, like, I get what's happening, but, like, I really don't care all that much. Is that bad?
Yeah, I don't know. I never felt like I didn't care about
it's not that I just don't care at all. It's that I just I didn't seem as interested in it as the movie is.
Well, yeah, they don't give you enough to really grab onto. Mm-hmm. So, like, even with the 2 big warring nation things, your only introduction to them is from the perspective of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the movie's plot anyway. Like obviously you're gonna be in the movie, but like I'm saying, like from when they're like the conflict of the valley essentially is your only introduction to them. So you have almost no personal stakes in what they're doing besides that the movie, and I mean you can kind of piece it together visually, like it does a really good job visualizing that the giant warriors are not something good.
Yes.
But like outside of them being like having randomly killed what's his face at the beginning for no reason and like trying to wake up the giant warrior, there's no real personal stakes of why they're not good. There's hardly any of their like clearly imperialistic imagery there, but like there's hardly any of that. And then the other kingdom place you really don't get hardly any of
yeah, really,
at all until you see the place and it's completely destroyed.
I forgot they existed, honestly. Like coming around this, watching it the second time, I'm like, oh yeah, shoot. I forgot about them.
And it's just something that I don't even think, because this movie is 2 hours, it has time.
Oh yeah.
But I just don't think it's something that's done as well because, again, of like the way it's adapted.
Yeah, no, it's odd. That's really what I would say about a lot of the problems I have with this movie. It's like, yeah, I have like I think it could be handled better, but it's not like awful. It still has its merits. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I want to go by the manga, because the manga is really good, and I'm really, really a big fan of the world and the characters, and yet Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, the movie, does not fully do it for me. As much as I really love the movie still, it leaves me wanting something more.
Yeah, no, I think this story, like just thinking about the finale on paper rather than like on screen, it just makes me feel like I would probably like the manga a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean the manga is still really beautiful, and it's I mean it's Miyazaki. Even in the black and white, it is really, really like visually.
Yeah, I was about to say, it seems like this story would pack a bigger punch on like, you know, like in a manga.
Yeah, because I mean, and that's why a lot of people are like, oh, diet Princess Mononoke. Because the story plot points and ideas are extremely, extremely similar to Princess Mononoke. And like Princess Mononoke is, in my opinion,
it's one
like
of his best,
pretty much perfect film.
One of Miyazaki's best movies,
and it's done so well for the medium of film. Like everything is done amazingly well to get you invested in all the sides, all the people, all the stakes. They take their time. It's not a very, like, as Miyazaki movies go, it is not the most atmospheric movie. They do not sit around for hardly anything. The most atmosphere you get is people walking through the forest. It's not really like Totoro or things like that at all.
Yeah.
But it's done so well. And
it is an airtight screenplay, my man.
And it's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah. No, like Mononoke really is like basically this movie, but like everything is actually dialed in from a movie standpoint. But I don't know.
And you have another princess.
You got another princess.
Even though she's not a princess.
At least Nausicaä is actually a princess.
Right? Okay, but at least we can all admit that Nausicaä is like one of the greatest princesses of all time.
Can we? I mean, I guess.
We can. We can all agree on that.
I mean, like she's a great princess. She literally like sacrifices herself at the end. So
she's strong, independent, fights, doesn't want to fight. She saves everybody. She's got a kind heart. She's good with animals. She's got a great character design, a sick gun. She can glide around. She's super skilled at taming insects. She kind of saves the world. I'm
still saying I'd be down for like a Nausicaa video game, open world.
Yeah,
maybe.
like an open world Nausicaa video game where you glide around
with your little pet squirrel fox things.
Like just make it like a really make it what the movie isn't. Make it like a really simple, like don't worry about the rest of the conflict. Just have Nausicaa like being a princess in town. Yeah, occasionally burning some of the stuff.
You just have like side quests from the townsfolk. That's all you have.
And then just fly, and then you can just fly into the Sea of Decay and hang out. That'd be a sick game.
See, that's what I'm saying, Micah.
I'd play that.
Yeah, the idea, it's solid. The concept, hire me. I'll direct the game.
You'll direct the game.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
My idea.
Okay, but do you have any other questions, though? Because we did like 2 questions and then just discussion.
What's your favorite character?
Nausicaa.
Besides Nausicaa?
Tito.
Yeah, fair enough.
Does he count?
I guess so.
I do really like... Crap, I just lost his name. Is his name Yuppie or something? Like, I don't know if that's the right character.
Which guy?
Swordsman.
Swords guy? Oh, he is kind of cool.
Is his name Yuppie? Or is that...
Maybe?
No, it's Yuppa.
Okay.
Because who am I thinking of whose name is Yuppie?
I don't know. You watch a lot more anime than I do, Mike.
I know a character. Okay. It's fine.
Okay.
It's probably from Hunter x Hunter. I think it is.
Of course you like the guy who just literally shows up for like 4 scenes and like slices everybody.
He's cool.
My favorite character besides Nausicaa. I liked the one female general. She was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, she was cool. She has cool lines.
Cool lines.
She's got a cool character design.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, like...
I don't know why she just looks like old Nausicaa.
Oh, no, she really does, though. Weird. I guess that's just how Miyazaki draws women.
I mean, no, for Castle in the Sky and Nausicaa, that's when he was in, like, his 80s style, and, like, every character looks exactly
I was about to say, like, literally every single character looks the exact same.
Totoro's character designs are still more that style than most of the rest of the work, but after Totoro is when he kind of breaks away from that specific style.
Everyone has, like, these ginormous foreheads for some reason.
Right, the ginormous foreheads, the big mustaches.
The big mustache. I mean, I'm here for it.
No, I like the character design.
It's just funny. But yeah, no. I mean, that was just a dumb question. I don't know what else is there to really discuss. Like, really, Nausicaa really just has like one big problem in my eyes, anyway, and that's like it. I don't know. I think everything else in it is pretty like solid. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't have too much more to comment.
What'd you think of the bug designs, Micah? You like the bugs?
Bug designs are sick.
You like the bugs, Micah?
I mean, like that's what I'm saying, though. Like, everything aesthetically in this movie is sick.
I swear, a Nausicaa ride would literally be like a nightmare. Like, dark forest, giant bugs flying after you. I would literally die of fright if there was like a Nausicaa ride.
Dude, the forest is so cool.
It really is.
Like, I want to just spend all of my time just looking at the different bug designs in the forest. That's what I'm saying. The video game, you start categorizing it.
Oh my gosh, Micah.
Cataloging the insects.
I just thought like Nausicaa, but it's Avatar.
No.
No. Yikes. Because I was like, oh man, I know the Avatar ride's gonna like scare me half to death because like the fauna and stuff in Avatar like scares me. I don't know. I don't like supernatural flora and fauna being close to me in any capacity. I'm like, it looks pretty, it glows, but the bugs in this movie are like terrifying. I'm like, please do not let the Oms anywhere near me.
I want to be friends with the Oms. Are you kidding? I want to be lifted up on a golden pedestal of stringiness.
Listen, if it's like a dog-sized Om, like,
okay, so you want like not quite the injured you literally just want baby Om.
I want like baby Om. That's like the only I'd be comfortable being around. Like, I'm just saying, like, in the context of a ride. I don't know why this popped into my mind.
I want full-sized in the ride.
Full-sized
I want somebody to make like an animatronic like full-size.
That would terrify me.
Front anyway, because obviously you're not gonna make the whole.
You can't make the full size.
But like full-size front of the that like.
Now,
runs
if that was like the ride entrance, that would be dope.
Where you walk through the mouth.
Yeah, you walk through the
or the legs of the
Yeah. Bro, I'm just saying, like, those giant centipede things terrify me. Like, these things are scary. That sequence is really good, though, the flight sequence with the centipede. That's the thing. Like even though I do mention that it's not very atmospheric, whenever they actually do slow down and like just have stuff happening in the woods or whatever, they're like, I'm like, this is actually pretty great.
No, everything is inherently atmospheric in it. And like everything on a whole, like if you broke down each individual scene, I would be like, yes, that's a great scene.
Good scene.
Yes, that's a great scene. It's when all of those great scenes come together in kind of the way they're structured out and the way they're paced out that it just kind of doesn't fully work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the filmmaking is good. I think cinematically it's really good. I think most scenes, I can't think of a single scene that I actively dislike. It's just it doesn't fully work together.
Yeah. Is that your closing thoughts, Mike?
I mean, not entirely, but like, I think I'm ready to go into closing thoughts.
I was actually, Mike, I was going to bring this up earlier, but I forgot to. I was thinking about eliminating the closing thoughts segment because we literally, most of the time, our conversation comes to a natural trajectory of like closing our thoughts on it,
yeah,
and then I'm like,
does.
oh, let's go into closing.
Yeah, but that's the too long didn't listen.
All right, well, I guess we'll do closing thoughts anyway then. Here we go.
We don't have to.
Well, it's too late now, Mike.
Okay. To see
Oh my gosh.
the hang-ups we had today.
Wow. People are going to think we're like back in like when was that? 2018, 2016?
I don't know.
I think it was an even year.
Listen. The lyrics itself, kind of an embarrassment.
Kind of.
But the mixing, still magical.
How is Kanye such a good producer?
Production is still 10 of 10. I don't care.
But yeah, closing thoughts on Nausicaä. I think it's really solid in a lot of aspects. Atmosphere, animation, character designs. Basically everything visual is great. A lot of its themes are handled pretty well on the page, but not as thoroughly explored as I wish they would have been on the screen. But it's still really good. I have a good time. It's the perfect movie to like fall asleep to, and not in a bad way necessarily. So, what do you think of Nausicaä, Micah?
My closing thoughts.
If you had to sum it all up.
I think my closing thoughts would be this movie on a whole feels very kind of made for me. I think that's why
Yes,
I end up liking it as much as I do. Almost all of the elements feel like something very much right out of my own mind. But yet it's done in a very nice, very unique way that I don't know, I really enjoy it throughout. Even if it doesn't fully come together, it's never been a huge problem for me personally watching. I will say that it makes it kind of one of the lower tier in terms of what I would rewatch just because it is long and I know that it doesn't pack the punch I wish it did. But I don't know, I'm still really in love with the world and the animation. The voice cast is amazing. I really like the score, even if it's a bit goofy. And I really like how much it really gets into like emotional stuff from like my personal experiences with like watching the movie. It really gets me pretty emotional with knowing everything that's behind it and everything, and how much it started for the group of random guys from Japan who had seen way too much horrible things and then made some of the sweetest movies of all time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was about to say, it's interesting that the actual, like, narrative of this movie is less interesting than the narrative of the people's lives who made it.
Of course, I say that in like the like one of the first movies after Castle in the Sky. Literally, the next movie that popped out is one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, they did Grave of the Fireflies next?
Yeah.
Wow.
Totoro and Grave of the
gosh.
Fireflies were released as a double feature.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's kind of devastating news.
So they did this, then they got Studio Ghibli, and they did Castle in the Sky, and then they put out Grave of the Fireflies and Totoro.
Oh no. Grave of the Fireflies is like, here is your heart. I have ripped it out and laid it on the ground.
I have ripped it out, laid it on the ground, stabbed it a couple dozen times, thrown some salt on it, and then rolled it around.
Thanks for watching.
Great movie.
Great movie, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. I still feel I ended up giving Nausicaä a 7 out of 10. And I think that's a perfectly fair rating for it.
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Which I feel is a perfectly fair rating.
Yeah, I would, like, honestly, at the end of the day, I would never give it more than 4 stars, unfortunately.
No.
I do really want to buy, there's this really cool hardcover copy, like, it's $50.
Of the manga?
Which is a pretty good copy, like, price for it, but it's, like, hardcover for the manga. They have art in front of each of them. They have, like, it's really cool. I want to get one.
It's really good.
I just can't justify spending $50 on a manga.
Yeah, that is a lot.
I mean, it's cheap for getting an entire manga.
That is true.
Jeez, you get all of Assassination Classroom, and that's like $200. But yeah, do we want to wrap it up? Go into the final what we watched segment.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having trouble breathing with my throat closing. But yes, let's go into the final segment.
So, for those of you who are new to the podcast,
Oh my god.
the What We Watched segment is just a quick little thing that we do at the end of all of our episodes to talk about what we've watched in between podcast episodes.
Podcast.
Just to kind of talk about more than just the specific movie we just talked about for like an hour typically. So, yeah. This week we did not watch as much as we normally would.
I didn't watch anything.
But I still have quite a bit.
Yeah, you watched some stuff without me, so.
Because I don't think I talked about GOG last episode.
GOG. No, I was about to say GOG would be the first thing you didn't talk about.
So yeah, I watched GOG.
GOG, baby.
It's
VOG.
It's a 50s movie. It's not very good, and it's also extremely sexist.
Nice.
Like one of the most actively sexist movies I've seen.
Maybe it was a satirization of how sexist the movie industry had become. Like
it was.
It was a subtle masterpiece of satire.
I give it 2 stars.
Wow.
Then what did we watch, Ruby?
Then we watched Take Shelter, which is a 2011 film starring Michael Shannon.
Ooh.
Quite good. Directed by Jeff Nichols.
Director of, I think, Mud and Midnight Special.
Yes, indeed.
But I really, really didn't know it. I didn't even know it was one of their movies, but like I really, really liked it. Way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I was about to say, you guys need to let me pick the movies more often because this thing was great.
It has a good average, and I like when it had a good average, I was like, oh, who knows? It might be good. And then it was like really great.
Who'd have thunk it?
I gave it 4.5 stars.
I gave it 4 stars.
Michael Shannon's performance.
I was about to say, Michael Shannon's performance.
Magic.
Quite good. And the way it weaves its narrative is actually really great, too.
No, it's a great movie. I fully endorse it.
Take Shelter, really good movie. Go watch it.
Then on the 2nd, I watched Gattaca.
Gattaca.
It's a 90s movie.
Gattaca.
The poster is absolute garbage, but the movie wasn't.
It really is. I want to see it. You guys watched it while I was working.
The cast was really fun. Like, it's the only movie I've liked, like Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke, and Jude Law. Like, all 3 of those actors are not actors I would ever take in a movie.
Not an Uma Thurman guy like that.
No, not really. But I actually really liked all 3 of them in this movie quite a bit. It's a very 90s sci-fi. Like, it's extremely 90s sci-fi. But it was just fun. I don't know. Like, I gave it 4 stars. It gave me a lot of Minority Report vibes with how they do everything.
Well, there you go.
It's directed by the writer of The Truman Show. Also written by the writer of The Truman Show. And, yeah, I think it's pretty good.
There you go. I can't wait to see it. Sounds good.
No, it's fun. Also on the 2nd... I watched Doug Days.
Doug Days.
Which technically is a collection of short episodes, but is also loggable on Letterboxd and is also really, really good. And you should go watch Doug Days. I genuinely think it's one of the best things Pixar has put out in a while.
Well, there you go. I still haven't seen it.
And Ed Asner was like the last thing he put out before he died. He died like a couple days after it came out.
Yeah, no, I was still so sad, man.
So yeah, go watch Doug Days. Do it. It's only 53 minutes in total.
On the 3rd, I watched What Did Jack Do? Because I had the house to myself, and I'm like, you know what? I'm finally gonna watch the Talking Monkey David Lynch movie. it's only 17 minutes long, so like it's just a short, but it is really great. I think it's one of the funniest things Lynch has ever made that I've seen anyway.
Actually, Rebby, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me is his greatest comedy.
I was about to say, the studio that produced it is Absurdia, which is like his studio, which from the name you might have guessed kind of what this is.
I mean, it's David Lynch.
Hopefully I can convince Micah to watch it because it's really funny and it has a great musical number in it. But yeah, its atmosphere is great. If you've seen Eraserhead, which is like, I think
if you've seen something Lynch,
I was about to say,
great.
The ending of it reminded me so much of Eraserhead, and that's a very high praise for me. I love Eraserhead. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Lynchian.
I said Lynchian in my review.
Then on the fourth, we watched Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. It's just a little loggable thing on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It was an episode. It was fine.
It's a special question mark. Not really.
It's post season 4
yeah.
SpongeBob, which I would say season 4 is like the last good season of SpongeBob.
I mean, this wasn't that bad. Like, Whatever Happened to SpongeBob wasn't actively
there were
terrible.
some good things in this, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This one is actually pretty decent. But it still is post season 4 SpongeBob.
Yeah. It's just kind of boring at worst.
Also on the 4th, I watched Level 16.
Level 16.
A Canadian...
looking like Sucker Punch for some reason.
Canadian thriller movie. It wasn't very good. It had a really cool concept, and I liked that it was like actively gory. I liked that for that movie. But it just wasn't very well written at all.
Oof.
Like, it was low budget for sure, and they did a really good job production-wise using that low budget.
I was about to say, the lighting of that shot for the preview thing looks pretty great.
No,
actually.
it looks good, but the writing is just not. So I gave it 2.5. And then also on the 4th, I watched He's All That.
Was he all that?
He was. Dude, I watched this movie knowing that I watched the Kirsten video, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to watch this. And it was actually really funny to watch. Like, it's not even like actively garbage, if that makes sense. It's just so disconnected from anything that's everything that it's like this weird dystopian, like, I said dystopian movies could never, because this is the trippiest thing you could ever watch. I give it 1 star.
It's like a descent into madness. Like,
I gave it 1 star.
Wow.
Then what did we watch, Rebby?
Then we watched the 2019 horror classic, one might say, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Which I don't know if we mentioned it back then, like back when it released. We probably did. But Micah was not really that big of a fan of this back when he first watched it, and I wasn't like, I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't like crazy about it. But it's weird. It's a weird movie.
I still enjoyed it for about the same reasons. It's got a lot of. I want to do an episode of this on the podcast.
This would make
when we get into like fall Halloween stuff. This would be an episode I definitely would want to do.
Yeah.
But I think how I described it in my review is pretty good, actually. It's like the perfect talk over with your friends at a Halloween party movie.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I was about to say the monster designs are a lot of fun in this.
There's
like,
some cinematic things that are cool.
I was about to say,
sucks.
When you get something like when it actually just like is a horror movie, when it just lets itself be a horror movie, it's actually pretty fun and good. But when it tries to get you emotionally invested,
the story
it does not work at all, and it comes off kind of laughable and cheesy a lot of the time.
But me and Rebby watched this at like 1, and we just made fun of it the whole time, and it was a really fun time.
Yeah, I was about to say, I like this. I still actively like this movie, and I love the monster designs in this.
Yeah, I gave it a 2.5.
It's so much fun.
But I gave it a like 2.
Yeah, I also gave it a 2.5 and a like. I think it definitely, like Micah said while we were watching it, I think it should have just been a horror anthology.
Like a goofy horror anthology.
Yeah, instead of being like oh, there's this overarching plot with the book
with the
and
girl
the
and
mom
glasses
and I'm like,
girl.
why who cares?
Yeah, who cares? That's my vibe.
I just want to see the movie. I just want to see the monsters, man. Please just let me see the scary stories to tell.
This movie has the same appeal to me as the Cloverfield Paradox. And me and my friend watched this one time, and we pretty much talked over the whole thing, except for when people were dying.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, I love the little, like, chubby monster thing in this movie for some reason, and I don't know. It's great.
Anyway, after that, I watched Oblivion for the first time. Tom Cruise.
I was watching Chowder while you guys were watching it.
It's an adaptation again, which honestly, like a lot of the things we just talked about, because it's a graphic novel adaptation.
Yeah.
A lot of the things we just talked about probably are its main problems, but it's so boring. This is such a boring movie.
Boring.
I was so bored. I like did things throughout the entire like I tried to watch the movie and ended up just doing things the entire time. Like, the concept is fine, not very well executed. I like Tom Cruise, but this movie is so boring.
The opening was kind of interesting. Like, I watched like the first 30 seconds.
If I could describe it in one word, it would be boring.
Dang. Which is never a good thing to be, Micah.
I gave it 2.5 stars.
I would rather have a film be like the most bonkers thing to ever happen and be actively awful than just be boring.
Right. Same. But yeah, and then we watched Nausicaä.
Very good movie. We just talked about it. So yeah, that's what we watched. We talked about Nausicaä, so the episode is officially completed.
You can check that off of Road Trip Bingo.
That's one more for Road Trip Bingo. Yeah. It's been a weird week.
It has been. It's been quite something. I went to Dragon Con. That was really cool.
Yeah, Dragon Con. I didn't go, but there it is.
It was my first time going to Dragon Con, and it was like a really awesome experience. We only went for one day because money. And no, it was awesome. I don't know how you do a week of that. We were like, I was dead tired for an entire day once I got back.
My schedule's been really weird lately. I've watched I usually watch like almost a movie a day, and lately I've been like working a lot more.
Yeah, no, it's been a weird week for sure.
It's been really weird.
But yeah, hopefully we'll have something again next week.
Have you had any personal projects you want to plug, Micah?
I mean, I'm still in the planning stages of my Dinner with Andre video.
Yes.
If you want to give me some money so I can rent all of the movies I need to watch for the video, that would be appreciated.
Just send an envelope full of cash to our address.
Yes, do that. Cause see, the thing is, I would have already started writing it, but there's still like 3 side movies related to my Dinner with Andre that I want to watch before I start writing the script.
Yeah, I was about to say this podcast brings in like 7 cents every episode.
I can't rent the movies with the 7 cents.
So I don't really think we have much funding for Micah's YouTube career, sadly.
I'll start a Patreon. I have 300 or so, 350 subscribers. I can start a Patreon.
You just need all of them to donate $1.
Exactly. Boom, $300.
Yeah.
All of my 14-year-old girl audience.
Yikes, bro. Your audience is so troublesome, Micah.
My audience is only because the only video that took off was a stupid over the garden wall video.
Hey, it's actually a good over the garden wall video.
No,
not
it
a stupid
is.
One, Micah.
But that's just like the 14-year-old girl audience.
It's the ultimate, Micah. It's the ultimate Instagram cottagecore piece of media out there.
It's true.
But it's also really great.
So if you go to my YouTube analytics and look at estimated audience.
Oh yeah, we're doing the over the garden wall video this year, Micah, for autumn.
What?
Or not video, the episode. Yeah, the episode. Because I was like, what are we got a stacked fall lineup.
We do. And I think if everything goes to plan, we might be doing Scream.
Scream?
This Halloween.
It could be.
If everything goes to plan.
Definitely potentially could happen.
I think we talked about Beetlejuice, Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah, we definitely want to do Beetlejuice and Over the Garden Wall.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yes.
Scream. Maybe Black Christmas too. Who knows?
Could be.
We'll see. I'm excited for fall.
I was about to say maybe when we go to like December we'll do Black Christmas.
Well, yeah, I was saying like we did for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of a transition between the season movie.
Have we only... well, I guess we did have like a Halloween era in season 2. We did like Hubie Halloween and a couple of other things.
Insidious.
Was Insidious season 2? I thought
no-
that was
I have
season
no-
1.
I have no idea.
No, Insidious is season 1.
Anyway, we've rambled on for like 20 minutes at the end of this episode.
Hey, but we're going to be under the hour mark, baby.
Not if we talk for like 60 more seconds.
Okay, thanks for
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.